Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 78 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're unleashing the power of your Raspberry Pi Pico W. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee, poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at SunFounder. SunFounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons. And in this class, we will be using the Kepler kit for Raspberry Pi Pico W. Now, most of you guys already have your gear, but if you don't, take a look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon, and you can hop on over there and pick your kit up. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot simpler if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my solution to the homework assignment that I gave you in lesson number 77. But I must first ask, were you able to do the homework? If you were able to do the homework, leave a comment down below. I am legend. Double chest bump. And if you were not successful, leave a comment down below. I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. But never fear, I'm going to show you my solution, and I'm hoping most of you guys were able to do this because we did 4 or 5 lessons on the NeoPixel, so you should understand that, and we did 4 or 5 lessons on the remote, and we have a dandy little program that allows us to effectively and very simply and intuitively use this remote. And so really today we're just bringing it home by combining things that we learned in the past. Now, why do I do homeworks like this? Because you've got to keep using those tools or you're going to lose them, right? You either use it or lose it. So I want to reinforce the learning from the earlier lessons. Plus, we're moving forward and doing cooler and cooler things. Now, what was the homework assignment? What was the homework assignment, you ask? Well, it was to connect a NeoPixel array to your Raspberry Pi Pico W and to control the NeoPixel array using the little remote in the kit. And what the challenge was to see who could come up with the most bodacious solution of the most interesting, intriguing, awesome, amazing color demonstrations on the NeoPixel and selecting what color profile you want to do or what color program you want to show using the remote. Okay, hopefully you guys were successful. I'm making this video before, you've had a chance to watch the last one, so I don't know what you guys have come up with, but I am really looking forward to seeing the different solutions you came up with. I will be writing a program, and then that'll serve as the framework, and then you could take my program and you could add even more sequences on the NeoPixel based on the framework that I am developing today. Okay, let me get out of your way. Let me get out of your way here. Let me have a little sip of my go juice. Very simple circuit that we have set up. Again, we have the infrared remote connected. When the LED or when the receiver is pointed towards you, the leftmost pin is the control pin, and that control pin we have hooked up to, it looks like, let me check my notes just to be sure. It looks like we have that hooked up to GPIO pin 17. In this orientation, the middle pin is ground, so we come down to our ground rail, and the right pin is power, so we come down to our power rail. Now, the ground pin that we are using over here to establish the ground rail is, let me get out of your way, the ground pin is physical pin 38 comes down. Physical pin 38 comes down and generates the ground rail, and then physical pin 36 generates the 3.3 volts, which then comes back over here to the rightmost pin for power. Now, NeoPixel is similarly, I have the red wire of the NeoPixel hooked up to physical pin 40. that should be feeding through the 5 volts from the USB connector. And then the ground comes down to the ground rail, and the yellow, which is the control wire, it is hooked up to, it looks like GPIO pin 0 up here in the upper right. So the hookup is really pretty easy. Okay, the hookup is really pretty easy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our code view, and we're going to get ready to write this program. Now, there were a couple of libraries and routines that we did in the earlier programs that is going to make your life a whole lot easier. So we're going to come over to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com, and we're going to go back to that lesson that we did. That was what, lesson 75, 2 lessons ago, where we created this program that generates a very intuitive way to interact with the infrared. So you're going to come to toptechboy.com. You're going to use the happy little search bar here to search on something like using an infrared IR remote. And then you'll come to this page, and you're going to come over here, and you're going to click here to copy the code. And then you're going to come over here, and you are going to paste the code. Now, there's some other code that we'll need, but we're going to start with this. Okay, we're going to start with this code. And now this, let's just make sure this works. Let's make sure our remote is working. So I'll come here where you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to run this code, and then to enter a command, you hit the power button. And then what command do you want? Well, let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to enter, whoa, what is that? No module name machine. I'm not. I'm not hooked up to my Raspberry Pi. So I will come here, and I will say connect. Okay, I'll get rid of this nonsense. Okay, let's try to run it again. Okay, now what I will do is I will come back to a more normal size, and then I'm going to hit power. And then I could hit 1, 2, 3, and EQ is enter, so EQ. And look at this, it gave me my command sequence. It knew to start listening at power, and then I entered 1, 2, 3, and I brought it home to complete the command with enter. Okay, so this routine is working. I've got the remote working with the receiver, and now I've got to go in and I've got to start working a little bit with the NeoPixel. So again, I had a lot of lessons on the NeoPixel, so you should be pretty good at that by now, but we need to import NeoPixel. If this doesn't work, go back and watch my earlier, one of my first lessons on NeoPixel. You might have to install a library, I'm not sure. From machine, we've already imported from machine. Okay, so we don't need to do that again. And we have already imported time. So really what we needed to import here is we needed to import NeoPixel. Okay, now let's see if we can set that up. And so we're going to come down after all of this business. No, let's do it up here at the top. Okay, so I have imported my libraries. And then I am going to come here, and I'm going to say my pix. Let me put some space in here. Okay. My pixel pin, my NeoPixel pin was connected to GPIO pin 0. My pix size, how big is my array? Well, mine is equal to 8 LEDs. Okay, and guys, this is something pretty neat we're doing, and you could use this for a huge NeoPixel array. You've just got to not try to power it from the Raspberry Pi Pico W. So if you're going to use a large array, you would connect power to a suitable external DC 5-volt power supply, and then you would hook ground to ground, and then the ground of the power supply, external power supply, would need to connect to the ground of the Raspberry Pi Pico W and the ground of the IR sensor. So all your grounds have to be hooked together. But if you're just doing an 8-pixel, you can safely run it from the Raspberry Pi Pico W. You can safely power it from the Raspberry Pi Pico W. If you're using a great big one, you would want to use external power, and I just told you how to do that. Okay, so now we've got that. But my pix size is 8, which is safe. I'm going to go ahead and set up a red color because I'll use that later in my program. Red is 255, comma 0, comma 0, like that. And then my green color is going to be 255, or it's 0, comma 255, comma 0, like that. Okay, I've got that set up. Now I need to create my NeoPixel object. I'll call it pix, and that's equal to NeoPixel.NeoPixel. Capitalization is important. And then I'm going to do the pin of what the method pin of pix pin, like that. And then I need to tell it how big it is, so pix size. Okay, so now I have a pix object that I can interact with my pix object in order to control the NeoPixel. So that should be pretty good. All right, now what we're going to need is, remember how we wrote that program where we could convert a angle on the HSV color wheel? We could convert that to an RGB value to apply to the NeoPixel. We need to go out and get that little program because I don't want to type this whole thing in again. So we're going to come again to the www.toptechboy.com. We are going to search on something like convert HSV to RGB. Will come here, and this gives us this nice little function that you pass an angle on the color wheel and it will return to you an R value, a G value, and a B value. So we're going to get that, and then we are going to come back over here and we're just going to put that function in. So we've created our NeoPixel array, okay, very nicely. Now we are going to paste that in here. Okay, we're going to paste that in here. So now I have a function that I can use, and I did it after setting up the NeoPixel. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get all of my imports at the top. So you can see this we got from our original IR program. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go put that up at the top of the code to keep things a little neater. Okay, like that. So now I've got the NeoPixel defined and turned on. I've got my function that will convert a degree on the color wheel to an RGB value. Okay, then I come here, and now this is that program that we did a couple of weeks ago, and that is I create my infrared dictionary that turns the raw number coming off the remote to a more logical descriptor of what button was pressed. Okay, now we come down and we get things set up for the infrared. Okay, all that's looking good. Now this is our infrared callback function. Explained that in the earlier lesson, so that's all good. And then I create my IR object. All of that is good. Okay, all of that is good. But now what we've got to do is we've got to come down to our while loop, and we've got to make it do something interesting. Well, the first thing the while loop needs to know is, do you have a new and complete command from the remote? Well, how would we do that? If we look in this callback, it is CMD ready, right? When it sees the power button and a series of keystrokes, and then it sees the EQ key, that is the IR bit 7, then I make command ready true. Now I've got an open bracket, I've got the power, I've got the commands, and then I've got the enter. Okay, so we are ready to go. Well, we don't want to do anything down here in our main loop unless command ready is equal to true. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, what I want is, the way this program is going to work, I'm going to hit power, and then I'm going to have different NeoPixel displays, and I'm going to associate those different NeoPixel displays to like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many you want. I'm going to associate those with numbers on the keypad. Okay, so what I'm going to need is, right now I've got something like this, power, 1, 2, 3, enter. Well, here, since I'm just going to run one program, it's going to be power, and then it's going to be a number, and then it's going to be enter. and that number is always going to be in position 1. Power is in position 0, and then the program I want to run, that number is going to be in position 1. And so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get that, and I'm going to say the command is going to be equal to new command, right? What is new command? It's this. And I'm not going to get that until command ready equal true. But I'm going to make command new command of position what? 1, like that. Okay, now it told me, hey, you got a new command. I go out and I process that new command. Now what I need to do, I need to tell it that command ready is false because the command it sent me, I used. So I don't have a new command. So command ready is false. Okay, does that make sense? Now let's just go ahead and try that. I think we ought to be able to run that. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say power. I want to run program 1 and then equal. And then what do I get? I get a 1. And let me go ahead and print command just to show you that that works. Print CMD. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so I come in here, I press power, and then I press program 1. And then I press enter, and look at that. Now the program knows what is it that the user wants to do. He wants to run NeoPixel sequence or program or whatever 1. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it does. So let's come in and let's start putting in some things here. Let's just say, let's just try this. Okay, so I'm going to say if CMD if CMD equal 0, what am I going to do? If CMD equal 0, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go for I in range, okay, from 0, because I have element 0, up to LED 8, and you say, you only have 8 LEDs. If you go from 0 to 8, that's 9. Yes, but remember how the range works. It stops 1 before 8. So this will go 0 to 7, which will be 8. Hopefully that will make sense to you. Okay, then I'm going to say pics of I is just going to be, let's say that is going to be let's make it blue. 0, 0, 255, like that. Okay, and then what I would need to do is I've created the array. Now I need to pics.write, and then what am I going to write? I'm going to write this. Did I do that right? This should be pics of I. Okay, so I create the list of colors that I want to send. And then what do? I send it. So let's see if this works, okay? CMD isn't defined. What is this CMD? I said CMD is equal to new command. That is very perplexing. In line 79. Oh, okay. You see, when the first time the program runs, it comes into this while loop, and what? It doesn't know what CMD is because I haven't entered this loop yet. So what do I need to do? Way up here at the top. And I'll do it. Let's see, where would it be a good place to do it? Okay, where I'm doing all of these things associated with the IR. So I'm just going to say CMD is equal to, I'm trying to think, I don't want to use a real program name, so I'll say CMD is equal to 999, like that. So just, it has a value so it doesn't error out. Okay, so now I'm going to go power, and I'm going to go 1, and then I'm going to go enter, and I've got power 1, enter. That looks good. Okay, and then what did I do down here? I said if command is 0. So 1 doesn't do anything because I haven't defined program 1. If I do power and then 0 and then equal, boom, look at that. It turned it blue. Okay, so that is pretty cool. Now let's make this, let's turn this off. 0 is going to turn everything off. Okay, and also what I want to do down here, If I exit the program cleanly with the keyboard interrupt, what do I want to do? I want to basically turn everything off. And so I'm going to get all this stuff here that I just defined, and I'm going to put that down here, Control V, and now I got to get my indentation proper. Okay. Get your indentation proper, come on. Okay. Like that. And so this should turn it off on Control C. So I'm going to run it again. Okay. And you see these stayed on because I didn't do anything in the program to cleanly exit. Now if I say Control C, boom. Okay, no error. The program terminated cleanly and it turned everything off when I exited. Okay, now I made 0 to turn everything off. Okay, now let's write a program 1. And what the program 1 is going to do is it is going to make this, I defined those variables up here, but I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. So this is going to be 1 will turn everything red. Okay, like that. And then 2 is going to turn everything green. So I'll make this 255. And then Control V. If I say 3, if I press 3, what do I want? I want to turn it blue. 255, like that. So let's run this. This is kind of fun because we're getting some early successes. So I'll say power 1 equal, I got red, power 2, enter, and that didn't work. What went wrong there? If command is equal to 2, it's like it didn't see that. Let me try again. Power 2, enter. Okay, I didn't press the buttons good. Okay, so now I've got green, power 3, enter, and I've got blue, power 0, enter, it turns off, power 2, enter, it turns green, and now I'm going to come back to the keyboard, I'm going to Control C, and boom, it terminates successfully. This is fun. Why is this fun? Because we're getting success very early on. We're getting some very early successes. Okay, so I did those 3. I'm now going to come in and I'm going to say if command equal 4. Well, if command equal 4, what do I want to do? I want to do a running man. Okay, I want to do let's do a running blue against a red background. Okay, so there I'm going to say for I in range, and I'm going to go from pixel 1, and you'll sort of see why I do that in a minute. Pixel 1 to pixel 8, and then 1. I think maybe I need to go from 0. Okay, I need to go from, there's a reason that I go from 1, because when I'm going backwards, I go all the way to that LED. And so this will work. And I think I talked about this in the other one. What I'm going to go ahead and do is pix.fill. And what do I want to fill it with? I want to fill it with red. And so this is going to be, I don't even think I have to do, yeah, okay, I see what I'm doing. So I'm going to fill it, I'm going to do a pix fill red. Okay, so I'm going to do a pix fill red, and so that's going to be 255, 0, 0. That's going to fill it with red. So for every I, the first thing that I do is I make everything red. And we're going to need a semicolon here. Okay, so if I ask for program 4, it's going to start by making everything red. Now, it won't apply that yet, so you won't see everything red. And then what do I want to do? I want to overwrite that with pix of I is going to be equal to green. Okay, so the very first time it'll be the second one over, right? 0 is the first one, the second one is 1. That's going to be green. And you'll see this will work if you just stick with me. Okay, so pix of I is equal to, I'm going to make it blue. Okay, so that's 0, 0, 255, like that. Okay, and now I'm going to do a pix dot right. So I'm now going to apply that. Okay, and then I'm going to do a time dot sleep of about 0.1 so it doesn't run too fast. Okay, now what should this do? It should be all red, and then the first one over, not the first one, but the first one over should be green, and it should go to the end and then come back and go to the end. All right, so now let's do that. Let's run this. Okay, and this was program 4, so I'm going to come in and say run program 4, enter, and look at that, I've got a running blue. But you see the blue only comes to here. Now if you wanted the blue to start at the first, we could, of course, let's Control C out gracefully. We could start here, and instead of starting at 1, we could start at 0. Okay, and in a one direction running man, I'll do equal for, power for equal. Okay, now you see that it comes all the way back here to blue. But you see on the way down, I'm going to light that pixel, and I don't want to go down and light it and then come back up and light it. I only want to light those end ones one time. And that's why instead of starting at 0, I'm going to start at 1, because I don't want it to be doing that. I want it to run back and forth. So what would I do? I would now say, I would now follow that with for I in range. Okay, and this time I'm going to start where? I'm going to start at 6. Okay, how come 6? Because 6 would really be 7. Okay, 6 would really be 7. So the pixel 6 is the 7th one over. Okay, because you start at 0, and then I want to go to -1, which would really go to 0. And then I want to go -1 at a time. Okay, so the 6 will really be 7. Why don't I want to go all the way to the 8th one? Because the 8th one I lit up here. So I just don't want it to go boom, 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 and then boom, and boom, 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 and boom. I don't want to light those end ones twice. And you can play around with this, and if you run it slower, you can see it a little bit better. But this will make it run right. So I'll go 6 to -1. So on the positive swing, the first for loop lights the end one, and on the backward swing, the second for loop lights the end one. And so let's come in here. So we're going to say like that. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to say pix of I is equal to, again, I want to go, what do I do here? I am writing in the wrong one, aren't I? Okay. I should be writing in 4. Okay, so this is going from, I think I just messed that up. Let's go back. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong code. Okay, so we're running, I'm going to say program 1, I got all red. Program 2, I've got all green. Program 3, I've got all blue, but I didn't change that one because I was writing in the wrong spot. So if command is equal to 3, that needs to be a 0, and now it will light them all up. Okay, I got in the wrong place there. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. So what I've done here on 4, I have lit from the 0th element to the 7th element. And what I'm doing is I'm turning them all red, and then I turn the 1 blue. So I go from the 0 to the 7th. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go backwards for I in range, and this time I'm going to start at 6, and I'm going to go -1 at a time and -1. I'm going to go start at 6 and go until I get to -1, but it'll stop one before that, which is 0. Okay, so that'll be like that, and then pix.fill. And what do I want to fill it with? Again, I want to fill it with red, and so this is going to be 255, 0, 0, like that. Close that, and now pix of I is going to be equal to blue, which is going to be 0, 255, 0, 0, 255, like that. Okay, now I'll do a pix.write, and then I'll do a time.sleep, like that, and I'll sleep by 0.1. Okay, now let's look at this and see what happens. And I'm gonna make this 0.5 just so we can make sure that we have that end behavior working right. Okay, so now this is going to be the power program for equal. Okay, so I started at 1, I come all the way, and I go back. Okay, but do you see how it stayed there twice? It stayed at that end one twice. And so this really needs to be a 1. Okay, that needs to be a 1. Let's try this again. Okay, so all red. Okay, I got a star program for and then equal. Okay, so that came over, and now it's going to go back. Okay, do you see how it's not dwelling on those ends by writing them twice? One for loop does one end and the other for loop does the other. And so that is looking really, really good. And man, I wish you could see better how beautifully this is working in real life. But that is just absolutely amazing. And when you do it yourself, you'll see how just absolutely spectacular that is. Okay, so I've got that where I'm doing a running red dot. But let me show you now. Let's see if I can go to a different program. So I'm going to go from here, and then I'm just going to go straight red and an equal. Okay, now what is the problem here? It tarried because it finished those two for loops. So let's try this. If I go from here to 2, okay, instantly I go to green. Let's go back to 4, okay, and now I think I messed up. Okay, so there's 4, but now I'm going to go to 1, and do you see I went to 1, but it's sitting there and it's finishing up. Okay, so you see, I want it to be instant. I want it to be snappy. So what do I do here? If I get a new command, I want to go with it immediately. So what I can say is, if CMD is not equal to 4, which is my present program, I want to break out of this for loop. So if command changes, I want to break out of the for loop. And same thing here. If CMD is not equal to 4, what do I want to do? I want to break. Okay, now let's see if that is going to work. So if command is 4, I will get in here. But then if command changes, if CMD changes, then I want it to break. Okay, and so now let's try that again. So I'm going to go *4 equal. Okay, now I'm going to go *1 equal. Okay, and it is still going slowly. It's still going slowly. So the thing is, it didn't get a new command because this command, it didn't end up back up here. So what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go up to my callback function, I think. I'm going to have to go back to my callback function. I'm going to have to go back to my callback function. Okay, and we're going to come up here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make CMD, I'm going to make that global. Okay, and then when I have this whole thing ready, command ready is true, I'm going to go ahead and make command equal to new command. I don't think that will work either. Okay, let's think about this because I really want that to work snappier. Okay, I really want that to work snappier. So somehow I have to get down in here and let it know that CMD has changed. And I can do that here, like that. That's going to be new command of, what did we say, 1. So let's see if that will update on the fly, that command. Okay, so let's try this. So I'm going to say power program for equal, and I pressed the wrong one, command or power for equal. I get the running man, and then I'm going to come to 1, and boom, it immediately went there. So let's try that again. Command or power for enter power 0 equal, and then immediately it goes out. Why? I'm breaking out down here. Now if I'm doing it that way, really all I need to do is here. Once I get it here, it's already going to know what command is because I'm passing it globally, and it just needs to say, okay, I have a new command, I am processing it, so I'm going to make command ready false. So let's make sure that works. And so I'm going to go power 1, enter. I'm going to go power 2, enter, power 3, enter, power 4, enter, power 1, enter. Okay, boom. Looks really, really good. So we have our first 4 programs here. That is pretty good, and it is working well. Now let's do the rainbow. Okay, let's do the rainbow, and let me make sure my indentation is right. Yep, so we'll put the rainbow on 5. If CMD equal 5, what am I going to do? If CMD is equal 5, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I am going to make the rainbow. So what am I going to want to do? I'm going to want to go from for I in range, I want to go from 0 degrees to 360 degrees, but it will stop at 359, which is really what you want it to do because 0 and 360 are the same. I'll go in increments of 1 degree, and then I'm going to color is going to be equal to get RGB of I. And what is get RGB? That is that thing that we did up here. That's that function that will return us an R, a G, and a B. Okay, so I'm going to get RGB. Okay. And then I'm going to fill pix.fill with the color that it just returned. And I might have to do a little adjustment up here. I can't remember if I adjusted this for the values that I need or not up here in this. I'm probably going to have to adjust this, but let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Okay, so that was 5, right? So I'm going to go power 5, enter, and can't convert float 10. Yeah, I've got to do some adjustments on that part of it. And so let's see, what would I need to do? I need to convert what I'm doing in this library as it is on the website, this get RGB, it is returning, it looks like a number between 0 and 1. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to convert that R. I need to make it an integer value of R times 255. Okay, and then because I'm returning a number between 0 and 1, and the NeoPixel wants a number between 0 and 255, so this would be int of G times 255, and then this would be int of B times 255. And then I need to close the my color like that. Okay, and then I return my color. So let's see what happens here. It's running, so I'm just going to try a 0, 1, enter. That looks good. 0, or power off, enter. Let me try it again. Power off, enter. It's off. Now let's try power 5, enter. Okay, let me try it again. Power 5, enter. And look at that. That is behaving unexpectedly. I think I must have messed something up when I was playing around with this. So it does this, then command ready is false. And then what I should probably do here is I should also say new command is equal to open close. So I'm going to reset it here. So once I get the command, I say, okay, I've processed this now. And now what I need to do is I need to make new command empty. So let's see if that will work. Okay, so now I'm going to go power 1, enter, power 2, enter, power 3, enter, power 5, enter. Okay, so it's got the 5, but it's not making a rainbow. So let's come down and look at 5. Okay. What did I not do? What did I not do? Pix dot right, like that. Okay, so now let's try that. Let's just see if we got that working. Power 5, enter. Okay, so we've got a rainbow, but we better slow it up now, right? So time.sleep of 0.1. Now let's run it. Okay, power 5, enter. Okay, that is looking like a pretty spectacular rainbow, but it doesn't seem to really be moving. So maybe what I need to do is I need to make that slower. It is moving, but it is moving too slow. Okay, it's moving, but it is moving too slow. So we're going to speed it up. We'll make it 0.01 like that. So now let's run it. Power 5 equal. Okay, now that is a really beautiful changing rainbow. Okay, so we've got the rainbow there. I'm still a little confused here if I'm doing this right. Okay, so here, if I have a new variable, like I'm wondering why I'm even doing any of this, because I'm passing it command. Let's see if I just take this out, because what I am doing is when I have a new command, meaning that it's seen the enter, then I grab that value and I pass it down. I don't even think I need that if statement. So let's try this. So I'm going to go power, and then I'm going to go 1. Okay, I've got red, power 2, enter. I've got green, power 3, enter. I've got blue, power 4, enter. I've got the running blue, power 5, enter, and then I've got the rainbow. Okay, that is looking good. That's working good. Now let's see if we can turn it off. Let me try it again. Power 0, enter. Okay, that turned off. Now I'm going to go power 1, enter. I keep messing up. Power 1 equal. Okay, now let's see if I do a Control C. Yeah, I cleanly exit. All right. I'm sorry about that confusion. Everything was working, but then I wanted to terminate instantly. And in order to terminate instantly, down inside of these if statements, it always has to know what command is. So I had to do that in the callback. Okay, I had to do that in the callback. Okay, so now I have command 4, and then I have command 5. And this one, I'm also going to need to put a break in here. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say if CMD is not equal to 5, then what am I going to do? I'm going to break out of this. Okay, I'm going to break out of this. Okay, so now let's see. I'll try 5, and then I'll see if I can quickly exit 5. So there is 5 going. Now I'm going to say power 1, and then boom, it exited really quickly. Okay, let's do one more, and then I know you guys are going to get weary with me here, but let's do one more. Let's do the running rainbow. Okay, let's do the running rainbow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if CMD equals 6, so we will make that 6. Okay, if it's equals 6, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for I in range from 0 to 360. Okay, in steps of 1. Okay, and that is going to be for an individual. That's going to be for an individual pick. That's going to be sort of for the overall rainbow. But then what I'm going to do is for J in range, and then I'm going to go from pixel 0 to 8, but it'll stop at 7, so that's what I want, and then 1. Okay, and now the degree is equal to I plus J times 45. And what is that going to do? The first pixel will start at 0, the next at 40, at 90, you see, it'll offset each one of the pixels by 45 degrees. Okay, and now I need to remember that this thing might go above 360, because if I is 350, then I plus J times 45 is going to be more than 360, and so I have to say that if the degree is greater than or equal to 360, then I need to move it back between 0 and 360. So I will say degree is equal to degree minus 360, like that. Okay. Now the color that I'm going to put is going to be equal to get RGB of degree. Okay, now I'm going to apply that to the individual pixel. Pixel of what? J, because it is that inside loop that is stepping through the pixels. Okay, and that is going to be equal to the color that I got back. And now I've got to say if CMD is not equal to 6, then I'm going to break. All right, now I also, so that would break me out of the inside loop, but I also need to break out of the outside loop. So if CMD is not equal to 6, I not equal to 6, then I'm going to break. Right. So this one, if I change the command up in the callback, this will break me out of the inside loop. It'll go back to the outside loop, and then this will break me out of the outside loop. Okay, now we don't want to repeat the earlier mistake, so I need to make sure that I do a pix.write like that, and then I need to do a time.sleep. Again, about 0.01 seemed to be about right, and then that looks pretty good. So let's run this thing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, power 1, enter, red, power 2, enter, I didn't get it, power 2, enter, green, power 3, enter, blue, power 4, enter is the running blue. Okay, the running blue dot. Now if I go to power 5 equals, it quickly terminates and it goes to the rainbow. Then power 6 equals, and I've got the running rainbow. All right, guys, do you see that that is just really, really cool? We have got a neat little device here that you could actually run. You could, again, make a really long pixel that you did really super cool things with, and then you would just power it from an external power supply, but control it from the Raspberry Pi Pico W, and that would be really, really slick. Okay, now this is your homework assignment for next week. We're going to do one more project based on this remote, and that is, there's two things I want you to add. Let's just see who can come up with the most spectacular NeoPixel unit that is controlled by the remote. Let's see who can do the most. I've done 6. You might want to take off the red, green, blue and and make it more interesting than that. But let's see who can come up with the most interesting one. The other thing that I want you to do is I want you to add the little small, what is it, the 1306? I can't remember what this thing is called, but the little display. I want you to add this display. Why can't I remember what this is called? Okay, I think it's the something 1306. But add this little display where you have it, and it could give the user prompts and instructions. It could process the command, and then it could tell you what program was running. Okay, so you see, if you added a little display to this, then you're getting really, really close to not even needing the computer. If you save this under the program main, then you could just power this thing up and control it with the remote and not have to use the cable. Right now we're having to use the cable because we're powering it from 5 volts. And you can't get 5 volts from the battery. You would need 5 volts from a power supply. But we can get a lot closer there if we go ahead and we add the little display to it. Okay, so that is your homework assignment. Okay, guys, I hope this one was not too tedious for you, but I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing with this, and I made a few mistakes along the way because once I decided to try to break inside the program, I had to have real-time understanding of what CMD was, and that required me to go in and change that callback function. Okay, and so that set me back a little bit, but we did get a working program, and I hope you are enjoying taking these lessons as much as I am making them. Always a big thank you to you guys who are supporting me on Patreon. You're the guys that are keeping me in the game. You can also help me by giving me a thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. That will always boost my YouTube juice. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. When you do, make sure you ring that bell so you'll get notifications on future lessons being dropped. And as always, share this video with other people because the world needs more people doing engineering and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.